Put that coffee down.
I'm not here to waste your time, okay? I certainly hope you're not here to waste mine. So I'm gonna keep this short.
Helen, we're both in sales. Let me tell you why I suck as a salesman.
The most valuable commodity I know of is information. Wouldn't you agree?
Coffee's for closers only.
Well, hello there, friend. Welcome back to the Behind Your Back podcast with me, Bradley Hartman, founder and CEO of the Behind Your Back Sales Company. And our mission in life is to help you sell more, faster, at higher margins, and have more fun delivering more unique value. As for this podcast, we talk about leadership, personal productivity, time management, and the craft of selling in the construction industry. But today, my friend, with Thanksgiving approaching, we're talking about gratitude and a positivity mindset. So back in 1950, there was a gentleman named Earl Nightingale. He recently had purchased an insurance agency, and he realized that his salesmen needed some consistent motivation. So he started once a week developing a 15 to 20 minute motivational speech. And he would deliver that once a week to his team to kick off the week. Well, one week he was going on vacation. So he recorded his message to his team and said, hey, when I hit the road, play this while I'm gone. The title of that speech was called The Strangest Secret. And it had such an impact on his sales team that word spread organically. And several years later, in 1956, Earl Nightingale's The Strangest Secret became the first gold album to sell 1 million albums that was spoken word. He was the first one to say, I'm going to create a record, and it's just me, a dude talking into a microphone.
That man is a success. If he's not doing that, he's a failure. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Rollo May, the distinguished psychiatrist, wrote a wonderful book called Man's Search for Himself. And in this book, he says, the opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice. It is conformity. And there you have the trouble today. It's conformity. People acting like everyone else without knowing why, without knowing where they're going. Now think of it.
And here was the strangest secret. I'm going to cut to the chase. So spoiler alert. The strangest secret is this. He says, quote, you are now and you do become what you think about. I want to say that again. You are now and you do become what you think about. Now, you'd say it's not much of a secret. Makes sense. What you think about all day is what you kind of become. Yeah, that sounds right. Well, 65 years later, I would say this is still kind of a secret. And with the advent of new technology and smartphones in our hands, I think we forget that what we do think about all day is who and what we become. So we are lucky enough to have my in-laws live about 10 minutes door to door from our house, and they occasionally watch our children, which is extremely nice. It's a gift. And I was driving home my 10-year-old, and he just casually said something along the lines of, and this isn't exactly, but it's pretty close. Hey, Dad, what do you think of Biden's strategy and execution for the withdrawal from Afghanistan? And I almost like swerved off the road, and hit a bridge embankment. I'm like, what did you just say? And he's like, President Joe Biden. And I get home and I just kind of brush it off. I'm like, listen, you shouldn't be talking politics. And quite frankly, either should I. So I get home, I ask my wife, and she says, oh, it's pretty easy. Over at Nana's house, they wake up in the morning, they throw on CNN, and CNN runs in the background pretty much all day long. And if you have a 10-year-old there, he's just soaking it up. Well, on the flip side, my parents recently came down, visit our house outside of Dallas, and they were with us for a few days. And I came out of my office, it's on a Saturday, and I just hear this background noise, and Fox News is on. My dad's watching it. I'm like, what the hell is this? He's like, what are you talking about? I want to be informed. And I said, is this what you guys do? You just wake up in the morning and flip it on? He's like, yeah, you want to stay informed, a little background noise throughout the day. I'm like, you just leave this on for 8 hours? I go, do you know what this is doing to your brain? So I'm not going to get too deep. I can go on a rant about this. My point is, yes, there's a family divided. Number two, apparently this is a common thing, at least in those who I love and surround me, that this background noise, what we hear all day, what infiltrates our brain, I would suggest, and I've told both of them, is probably not healthy living. And while you are probably different because you got a full-time job, and if somehow you have figured out how to, be a professional in the LBM industry and still have Fox News or CNN running 8 hours a day in the background, you got to solve that. But we have our own issues, and largely they are the habits that are formed from our phones. And on one hand, yeah, they are extremely powerful. We connect, we can share, we can learn. Right now, you are almost definitively using your own smartphone to listen to me speak right here. However, this is an instrument of ingratitude. It is designed to keep you focused on other things that are not important, I would argue. And it is designed for full-time engagement and outrage on things that I would argue you probably don't need to have that strong of an opinion on. I firmly believe that these phones we've got, if we're not careful, if we're not intentional, if we don't build systems and develop habits of gratitude, these phones of ours become instruments of ingratitude. And the reality is, if you don't set up a system to intentionally be grateful, you will not develop the habit, maybe other than 48 hours around Thanksgiving every year. So whether it's CNN, whether it's Fox News, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, go back to Earl Nightingale. You are now, and you do become what you think about. Now, why am I so passionate about this? Well, there's a good reason for it. Because I have been guilty of it, and I've been trying to very intentionally develop new habits to steer away from it. And I have a daily habit, one habit, kind of a combination of habits, a little process that begins first thing in the morning, and then I bookend that, and I close out the day with a little bit of gratitude in the event that maybe, and again, I don't have this all figured out. I don't want to be too pious here, but hopefully I can help us think about gratitude, be more positive as sales professionals, as sales leaders in our industry by sharing just one example of what you can do. So if you've seen any of our videos on Vimeo or YouTube or Instagram, case in point, in the background, you have seen a small pile of books that I don't do it every single day, but in a given month, I will probably do it 25, 26, 27 times. I will just bring this short stack of books over. I will set them on my desk, and for about 15 to 20 minutes, I'll just kind of run through. And they are books that are designed to be read daily. I start with Ryan Holiday's The Daily Stoic. Strongly recommend that to a friend. I then move on to The Daily Drucker. And what these are, literally, January 1st through December 31st, you read one page per day. And it's a couple paragraphs. It's real short. But both The Daily Stoic, which really features, these classic philosophers of Stoic mindset, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, some of these other largely men, not a whole lot of women, unfortunately, given the times, but these men have appeared in certain instances on this podcast. I then move on to Tolstoy's Calendar of Wisdom, which brings in a little bit of theology. They talk about the Bible. They talk about historic teaching. So they bring in a little bit of religion, but also designed, and that is anywhere from 5 to 7 real brief kind of one-liners, either from Tolstoy himself or from famous leaders or philosophers or religious types throughout history. I then move on to Robert Greene. This is the latest addition to the daily lineup. Robert Greene is a fantastic writer. If you don't know, he's written books, The 48 Laws of Power, which I'd strongly recommend to a friend. He wrote some other number, I don't know, 52, 48, 33. Actually, it is. It's The 33 Laws of War. He's a stud. I really love reading him. His book on human nature is fantastic. So he just came out with a daily law book. And again, it's one page per day. So I run through those. And then I have one book that is generally feature length that I chew through, over the course of a month, reading a few pages a day. I'm currently in The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. So you can see there's a theme here, which is all about being in the moment, controlling what you can control, managing your emotions, getting into a very intentional mindset. Now, sitting on top of these books is a coin. And again, you're probably going to roll your eyes if I talk about The Daily Stoic more, but Ryan Holiday, The Daily Stoic, he has these coins, and they're from a U.S. mint. They're minted here in the United States. They're very heavy. It's like the size of a silver dollar. And on the front, it says Amor Fati, Amor, A-M-O-R, and then Fati on the back of it says, not merely to bear what is necessary, but to love it. Now, Amor Fati, you probably recognize Amor, that means love. And then Fati, it means fate. So this is like the love of fate. And this is a Stoic principle. And the idea is whatever is happening to you right now, figure out a way that you can love that it happened. You are in love with the fate that you are in right now. Now, if good things are happening in your life, that you're like, hey, that should be pretty easy. Hey, I'm happy because I just fell into some money and I'm in love and my kids are acing classes or whatever. Not a care in the world. That's easy. However, we are all dealing with our own battles. And there's probably some things you'd say, all right, how the hell am I supposed to love this thing that happened to me? And it's terrible. Well, this is actually when I got tuned into this about 4 years ago. My wife got diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. And she was, 38, 39 years old. It was extremely aggressive. In 3 weeks, it grew from the size of a grape to that of a lemon. Why do they use fruit references? I don't know, but they do. And this threw our life upside down. At that point, I had a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old. And I had no idea how to deal with it. I was not handling it well emotionally myself. I wasn't there for my wife and kids. And I knew I needed something else. And it was there. Somebody suggested the Daily Stoic to me. And I've been reading it essentially every day since then. And this idea of amor fati. All right. I said, how do you expect me to love the fact that my current fate is my wife is battling for her life? And she went through chemo, and then she went through radiation, and then she had surgery. She went through hell. And we collectively did too. How would I love that? And the way that we had to flip it, because yes, we could curse the darkness. The way we had to think about it was we had to enjoy every single day we were together. And time slowed down because you realize that how precious it is. And to that point, I've never dealt with anything remotely close to that. And I had to do a better job of thinking about other people, managing my own emotions, and living each day to the best we could. So I know, kind of heavy stuff there. I don't want to weigh you down on it, but my point is you can do that. We can do that with these things. And you might say, well, this is all just like mental semantics, right? To manage your emotions and change your mindset. And I would say, yeah, you're right. That's exactly what it is. So after those books, I will finish off the rest of my routine. That does involve me actually looking at my phone. And there are 3 brief newsletters that I get every day that also help reinforce this. I get Rhonda Conger. She was on the show in episode 133. She's works for a building company in Boise. She's an amazing person. She has a daily message called Better Thinking that goes out every day. It's just about positivity and motivation and kind of the self-help in the classic sense of the word. I mean that in the best sense of the word. And that's a great read. I also read Daily Dad. If you are a father, this is very helpful. I know it sounds cheesy. It's also from Ryan Holiday. So yes, you're sensing a theme, a little bit of a fanboy there. Let's keep moving. And then I subscribe to Seth Godin's daily email. And that's normally on kind of business. It's less mindset and more thinking about markets and brands and customer service and stuff like that. So I hit those up. That's my morning routine that kind of gets me thinking in an intelligent way, intentionally about my positivity mindset and, kind of managing my emotions. Go through the day, hopefully kind of carry that through, sometimes better than others. At the end of the day, and we're going to post this online, we have a weekly game plan that we've customized, 2 pages to help sales professionals map out their week very intentionally with prospecting, with time blocking, predicting their top 3 deals. And it closes out with Monday through Friday, 2 sells per day. So the idea is Monday through Friday. At the end of the day, we want to find at least 2 things that we can be grateful for. I'm going to post this online. It's going to be freely downloadable at behindyourbacksales.com/tools. And I'm excited because I've got 2 gentlemen I'm going to call out here. Keegan O'Reilly and Jim Hershey, both at Brand Vaughn. They have given some really constructive feedback on how we can improve it and change it. And initially, I kind of gave it the Heisman. I'm like, nope, pretty sure it's awesome right now, fellas. And the more I thought about it, and here's a general rule, listen to your customers. We're going to be upgrading it. So we're going to make it into a pad where each week you can just rip it off and just carry it around with you. And we'll make that available for probably essentially free or at no cost other than shipping. But anyway, you can find that again at behindyourbacksales.com/tools. If any of you are struggling or people that struggle with time management, which is pretty much all of us, and they do not have a system, this is a very easy one to implement. And we've had a ton of success with it with our coaching clients. Now, here's a relevant question right about now. Why do you need a system, right? And why do we need to develop habits for gratitude? Well, kind of 2 thoughts. In the Zen mindset, life is suffering. That's part of the human condition, is that we're struggling through and everything's not perfect. And we're dealing with all these competing priorities and bad things happen at work and then they happen at home and we got to manage all that. And to make it all worse, we've all figured out this amazing device, this computer that we have in our hand that has all the answers in the world in it and helps us communicate and learn and connect. And at the same time, it is designed to drive us crazy and make us mad. And here's just a general question to consider in your own life. Do you know anyone who you would consider really successful? Happy, successful, however you define that. But happiness needs to be part of it. There are quite a few quote unquote successful people that are absolutely miserable. So we want to exclude those because I'm including general happiness with your life and your living. But how many people do you know that are really successful and really pessimistic and really cynical? I do not know of any. Now, beyond Thanksgiving, why do I think this is important now? Well, I received this email from a very strong sales leader who I admire greatly. And on October 14th at 10:21 in the morning, he wrote to me, "I feel as though I've been a shrink and a counselor more than a sales leader over the past 60 days. Bullet points. Margins suck. Supply chain is broken. Customers have zero patience. Manufacturers are struggling. Labor shortages. Product allocation. Oh, and let's not forget COVID. The simplest of things are now a major project. Then, as a commission employee, you're basically working for free. Thoughts? Question mark. As a matter of fact, I do. I think of loss aversion, and it's this bias that we have as human beings. I talk about it often because I think it's so relevant right now and in general. And it says the pain of loss is felt greater than the joy of winning an equal amount. So the pain of losing $100 is felt twice as bad as the joy of winning $100. And it makes no rational sense, but we deal with that. So maybe you have felt this when you've gotten customer feedback and you have 10 responses and 9 give you hundreds and say you're amazing. And then one guy says, actually, you're not that good. I give you 20% and I'm pissed off. Which one do you focus on? Yeah, you ignore the 9 and you focus on that one. Likewise, when I look at the podcast ratings and I see that we've got, 50 some or 60 responses, and many of them are 5-star reviews, and many of you have been extremely generous in sharing your thoughts that are very positive. Do I read those and do I like them? Absolutely, I do. That brings my spirits up and I'm very appreciative. I'm thankful for that. And then I see that I've got 1 or 2 1-stars. Which ones do I fixate on? Yeah, exactly. I ignore all the nice things people are saying from people I do know. And the negative scores, I have no way of finding out who they are. I fixate on that. Why? It's called loss aversion. And right now, there's a lot of pain and there's a lot of loss that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And this pain and this disappointment, all this negativity is all we think about all day. Flashback to our friend Earl Nightingale. What is his line? You are now, and you do become what you think about. So how do we develop a system to deliver habits that are focused on gratitude? And like you, we have a ton of things to be thankful for. I just got this message on Instagram from Nick in Oklahoma, and he said, hearing something on your podcast while pounding the pavement, like comparing a sales rep to an NFL kicker based on a weekly structure, can drive long-term habits. That really speaks to me. Your podcast is really one-off. Keep it up. That sort of thought, I got to keep that in front of me. And I realize it kind of sounds braggy for me to read this on my own podcast, but we all dealing with our own stuff. How do we engineer ways to think about the positive? So Nick in Oklahoma, you know who you are. Thank you, buddy. That means more to me than you know. And other things I'm thankful for. We sold out our sales fundamentals workshop, 75 seats. We sold it out in literally 48 hours. And it's not a small expense. And we work year round to deliver something that is amazing. And then we continue to build this community for a year after. But I'm extremely grateful for that. And I'm extremely grateful for you listening. I am. We have grown this audience considerably. As you can tell, I love doing this, and hopefully we're getting better and continuing to provide more value to you. So thank you. Thank you for listening. There's a limited amount of time and attention in your day, and I appreciate you spending it with me. So as we tie this up, we think about the comment from Earl Nightingale, you are and you become what you think about all day, and a Stoic principle that says you don't need to have an opinion on everything. And you might think, well, that's ironic, Hartman, because it seemed like you have an opinion on just about everything. And I'm like, I know, I agree. I'm working on it. I am. So whether I'm answering my 10-year-old son or commenting to my 71-year-old father, I tell them, you know what? I don't have a very strong opinion on the difference between Biden's exit strategy from Afghanistan versus Trump's plan from several months ago. You know why? Because I'm not educated on it. I haven't read it. I'm pretty sure the Middle East and that situation for the last couple thousand years is pretty nuanced. I don't have a strong opinion. There's only so many things I can pack in my pointy little brain. Your phone, for all its greatness, is conspiring against you. It is an instrument for ingratitude. So I am thankful for you. I really appreciate your time and attention, and hopefully this can help in some small way. What is your system? As you think about your team, what systems do you have in place to drive habits of gratitude well beyond the Thanksgiving week?
Will take care of itself. Remember also to keep calm and cheerful. Don't let petty things annoy you and get you off course. Now, since making this test is difficult, some will say, why should I bother? Well, look at the alternative. No one wants to be a failure. No one really wants to be a mediocre individual. No one wants a life constantly filled with worry and fear and frustration. Therefore, remember that you must reap that which you sow. If you sow negative thoughts, your life will be filled with negative things. If you sow positive thoughts, your life will be cheerful, successful, and positive. Now, gradually, you will have a...
So there it is. That is the strangest secret. You are, my friend, now, and you do become what you think about. Be very intentional on what you fill your head with and help those around you. Again, thank you for everything. Happy Thanksgiving. We're going to close out like we always do. You, my friend, are owed nothing. Deliver value first.